Welcome back to the urban farmyard where this city girl goes country. In today's video we are taking a look at litter choices for your cat. Let's go take a look. Hi guys, well if you are adopting a new cat or kitten or have an indoor only cat or kitten, litter is going to be a decision you are going to need to make at some stage, and there are many choices on the market. Trust me, I have tried basically all of them. With over 50 cats here at our sanctuary, we have a lot of litter trays and we have the greatest opportunity imaginable to test litter out. So let's start with my all-time favourite, crystal litter. Of all the litters on the market, I find it does the best job of absorbing urine and absorbing the smell of urine and keeping it reasonably well contained. You do still need to scoop out solids, but with crystal litter you don't need to change all the litter every single day. In fact, the manufacturers will often say that you can leave it for a week, 2 weeks, or even up to a month if you've only got one small cat using the tray, and it will just continue to absorb the urine. It's really good. Now, if I had my choice, I would only use that litter here at the rescue centre, but unfortunately it's not the cheapest option, so we do use alternative forms of litter here. If you're really cost conscious, another good alternative is compressed wood burner pellets. Now, these little pellets are basically just sawdust that come from mills, and they are compressed down into these lovely little pellets. They're super cost effective, particularly because you can actually buy them in giant 20-kilo bags from a hardware store rather than paying a premium through a cat or pet store. Now, there's a trick to using these. These particular pellets expand and they actually turn to sawdust when they get wet. So when your cat pees on them, these little pellets go from pellet form to sawdust. Now that creates an ancillary problem, which is you may end up with sawdust being traipsed through the house. Now for this reason, this particular type of cat litter needs to be used with a different sort of tray. The sort of tray you need is one that's got a regular base and then has a second tray which sifts the litter and sits on top. What you do is each day or a couple of times a day, you scoop up the solids from the top and then you give the tray a shake, and all the sawdust which has been peed on falls down to the bottom. You can then just tip it out. This is also a really good environmentally friendly solution because all you're doing is you are getting rid of wood or sawdust which just breaks down in the landfill. So it's a really good cost-effective option, and it's also pretty good at absorbing smells. What I find is you tend to get the smell of pine, which is what they're made of, rather than the strong smell of urine. So it's a really good option. Now I find in the rescue centre pine pellets are a little bit of a nuisance. We have so many cats peeing in the trays that we do end up with sawdust scattered absolutely everywhere. We just can't sift the trays quickly enough for it to be a practical solution for us here. So what we use here at the rescue centre is we use regular clay litter. Now this is the old school litter which has been around for decades, which you probably used or your mum probably used when you were a child. It's super cost effective, and because it's clay, it's also a really good option from an environmental perspective. It just breaks down in landfills, so it's not creating an ongoing environmental problem. The one drawback though is it's not particularly good at absorbing smell, so if you've got a particularly sensitive nose, it's an option that I would probably give a miss. One of my other favourite forms of litter is another form of pellet litter. It is recycled paper pellets, which are available from the pet store. These are great environmentally because again they just break down in landfill, and they also do a great job of not creating a great deal of mess. The compressed paper inside each pellet doesn't break down to sawdust the same way that pine pellets do, but it does do a good job of absorbing a lot of the urine and keeping things reasonably neat and tidy. They are also really easy to dispose of. Most other forms of kitty litter stick to the bottom of the tray, so you find that you're going to have to scrape the tray each time you empty it. With these compressed paper pellets, you don't have to scrape at all. You can literally just tip the tray out and they just fall into the rubbish bag. They're really good. They are more expensive though, and so that's one of the reasons why we don't use them here. They are considerably more expensive than the clay litter which we tend to use in the rescue centre. The final option is one that I have a love-hate relationship with. It's a really good option if you have just one indoor cat, but if you have as many cats as I have, it is completely impractical, and that is clumping litter. Now, clumping litter is a really fine litter which does tend to track through the house, another reason why I'm not a great fan of it. But what happens is when the cat pees on it, it forms a clump. Now that's great if you've just got one cat, because you can go through a couple of times a day, scoop out just that clump in the spot where they've peed and throw it in the rubbish. Now the drawback we have here is we have so many cats peeing so frequently, we find that the entire tray ends up clumping. It turns into kind of a concrete-like consistency, and it is a nightmare to scrub an entire tray full of this stuff and scrape it and try to get it clean again. So clumping litter is something that I would recommend if you've just got a single cat, but definitely I would not recommend it if you've got a house with a huge number of cats. So there we have it. Let me know what your favourite cat litter is, and I will see you back here tomorrow.